FlowChat Connector, what's up? Sean here, back at you with another high ticket tune-up. Just crossed over July. I'm excited for you guys. Hopefully you're having a great month this month. And I wanted to dive into how to successfully self-coach yourself to sales success, because I feel like there's some things that are fundamentally sound in the sales game. And if you understand and know these things, you will be much, much, much better ahead. And there's only one thing that I think, if you keep this one thing in mind as you move through today's session and into the future, you're going to close more deals. Stay tuned. Sean back at you. Make sure and smash that like button there, FlowChat Connector, and share this out to someone else that could use it. And please subscribe to the channel. Obviously, we are trying to put out great content so that sales pros can become better sales experts, and traditional salespeople can turn into sales pros, eventually leading to becoming sales ascenders, which is where our FlowChat Connector fam lives. And so thank you for being here. Today, we're going to dive into a question that came from Val. Val said this. She said, Sean, my prospects make me so mad. My prospects make me so mad that sometimes I just want to pull out my hair. I'm not closing enough. I'm stressed out about not being able to feed my family. Do you have any suggestions? Of course I do. Right? There's one big concept that I wanted to share with you, because I feel like if you understand this one story, I'm going to talk about a guy named Scooter that I know, and we'll just go through it, because I think if you catch this lesson, it's going to be really valuable for you. So here's how to successfully self-coach yourself to sales success. I'm going to start with a quick story. Actually, I'm going to ask you a few questions first. First question is, have you ever lost objectivity with a prospect? And most people are like, well, Sean, what's objectivity? Well, maybe you forgot to set an agenda during a sales conversation. Maybe you talk too much during a sales conversation. Maybe you cut them off when they make a point because you know you got to prove that you're an expert in the field and you want to just shower them with the knowledge that you actually know. Well, maybe you just spill all your product knowledge during the conversations anyways, and you never give them a chance to talk. You could be the most expert of experts. You could be an absolute specialist in the field that you are in. Does that mean you need to shell out all of your information? Let's talk about a doctor. Go to a doctor's office and you're sitting there in the room, and then the doctor comes in. Well, the doctor's had years and years of schooling. He knows pretty much everything about the human body. What does he do, right? The good doctors will come in and they'll just sit there and say, how you feeling? And they'll start asking a boatload of questions about your health. Why are they doing that? Because they need to gather information before they can move forward with doing a diagnosis. Similar to, like the worst experience at a doctor's office. Let's say that doctor comes in and he says, Sean, let me tell you about the theory of broken bones. And he goes down this whole plethora for the next 40 minutes. And your session's only 45 minutes with a doctor. For 40 minutes, he shares bone structure and ligaments and how all the nerves hook up to all the stuff in your body. I don't know any of this stuff, but and he just showers you with all of this medical information that you don't even care about. You're just like, my knee hurts. I need help. Right? And so your prospects are in a very similar position when you're in a sales conversation. They're going to come into a conversation with you and they don't want to be showered on with all of the knowledge and everything that you know. They don't want to look. Nobody knows how much you care until they know how much you know, right? About their particular story. And so our objective as a sales professional is we can't turn on the go juice with our mouth. We have to actually listen a little bit more. So have you ever experienced any of this? Well, this is the greatest story for you, right? So here's the story of Scooter. So Scooter, it was a average sales guy for a coaching program, and he used to sell, like, within this coaching program, they had kind of a very high ticket one-to-one coaching. They had a mastermind group coaching sessions, and then they had a couple of courses that they sold for coaching programs. So Scooter had the opportunity to sell one of these three buckets. Either you're going to work one-to-one with our coach, you're going to work in a group session with our coach, or you're going to buy this program and kind of do it yourself. And his buddies called him Shooter because he would shoot the breeze every time he got into a conversation. He wouldn't ever let the prospect talk, and he would just start talking about their program. And luckily, the program was good enough that some people would continue to kind of come his way. And he could close these small deals really easily. Typically, the response rate of the call after Scooter had a conversation was something like, yeah, he talked too much, but I needed the program, so I bought it anyways. right? And so Shooter or Scooter was, doing his business, and he was always seeing all these other sales pros around him close more deals, and he was like, "What the hell's going on? Like, why can't?" One day he was like, "I'm just man, I always get so down on myself because I look at the leaderboard, I'm always last, even though I'm closing a bunch of these smaller deals, and I just don't like it, and I want to get better." And so internally, Scooter had this desire to not want to be really down on himself anymore. But here was his selling style, right? His selling style was very similar to a lot of traditional sales pros that I know. He would always try to impress with his knowledge. He would come out of the gate saying, "Look at my company, look how amazing it is, look at all these things that we can do, and look at all these transformations that we've had, and here's what you need to know." And he would give away free consulting on these calls. So these people taking these calls would write down all this information, take it back, and go. And sometimes these prospects who were great fits for the bigger tickets would say, "Oh, this is great. Thank you so much for your help. I'll be in touch with you." And then they would steal all the information that Scooter would share with them, and boom, they were out, right? And this would make Scooter so mad. He would catch it sometimes in these sales conversations, and he would get pissed, and he would start yelling at prospects, and he would start treating them poorly. Or on the other hand, if somebody's like, yeah, like, I'm into this, then he would be all on a high emotion, and he just would keep on talking, right? So his trigger points were, if somebody liked what he was into, he could just press a button and he would just spill everything he knew. And then you as a prospect could write it all down, take it away, and do that, right? On the other hand, it's like, no, it's not really interesting. Well, he would get mad and during the call, and he wasn't able to kind of keep track of his emotions. He was also very sarcastic. He had dry humor, and he made a lot of fun of his clients. And lastly, he had a victim mentality. Why me? Why can't I close the big deals? Why can't I get ahead? Why is everyone else in my sales organization just doing much better? And so this is a recipe for a traditional salesperson closing small deals, getting bored, and then leaving an organization. So if you're coaching salespeople, understand you need to have this chat with them, right? So here was the catalyst. Here's the chat that happened. His boss walked up to him and said, "Scotty, you've been here for now 2 years. Look at the leaderboard, dude. You're on the very freaking bottom. Close a bigger deal or get fired." So now Scooter's like, "Oh God, I got my family to feed. I gotta my wife's at home. Like, if I lose this job, it's over. Like, I can't do that." Right. So he had this internal, first of all, he was kind of getting mad that he wasn't doing it himself, and he knew he wasn't doing it himself. But then his boss was like, "Yo, dude, you got to get it done. Otherwise you're out." And so now here's Scooter's new focus, right? What did he need to do? He's like, how do I get better at this? First thing he thought of, I need to get feedback. So he hired a sales coach. Great job. That's a great move for you, Scooter. Doing great, right? He became much more aware. His coach shared these things like, hey, your emotions are in the way. It's stopping you from having deals close. He started learning about things like using 2 ears and 1 mouth in proportion in a sales conversation. He started learning some new sales tactics that he could use to like set the agenda for the call and have better depth conversations, asking better questions, right? And he started making changes. And this was his new focus as he moved on. Here was kind of the shift that would happen to Scooter. Well, as he got a little better, he started understanding that his emotions were causing these sales to be lost. And he was the one that was acting out before the prospect could share anything that they needed to do, right? Secondly, he started to maintain objectivity instead of letting emotionals run wild in his conversations. And then he started understanding human dynamics. He started learning about disc selling or personality profile selling, and he learned all these other techniques, modalities like visual, audio, kinesthetic, audio, digital. And he started going down the path of learning about other people and how they act, and then how he needed to interact with them when he's having these conversations. And then the new results came, right? So now he's a ninja, and he was starting to be able to connect with these bigger decision makers. And instead of these conversations getting out of hand where he got really emotional and didn't close a deal, he was able to keep his emotions in check, and he started to close bigger deals. And so after he did that, his boss came back, said, "Oh, I knew you could do it, Scott. Whatever you did, it's fantastic," right? And he became loved again. And so what's the learning lesson that I want to drop with you today? Because if there's one learning lesson here, obviously hiring a coach is important. How to successfully self-coach yourself to success. There's one thing you need to remember in a sales conversation, and this is it. Selling is a Broadway play performed by a psychiatrist, and you as the sales professional have to be the psychiatrist. Yes, you have exterior things happening in your world. Maybe your dog got sick. Maybe your kid didn't do their homework. Maybe whatever the case, there's going to be these outside influences that always happen. But when you get into that sales conversation, you need to shift and put that hat of a sales professional, that doctor sales professional on your head, and be the psychiatrist. See how this guy's just sitting in the chair taking notes? That's what you should be doing as a sales pro, not talking a lot, right? You shouldn't even bring up your own company, services, or products until the second half or even the second call in a sales conversation. The first part of the conversation is you got to get to know them, and you got to understand if they have a problem that you can help them with or not. Because if you just start going off at the mouth about what it is that you do and how great you are, people are going to be like, this guy is braggadocious, I don't want to deal with it. And likewise, when you're in the conversation and somebody comes at you with a very negative thing, you can't get emotional, right? You have to be that Broadway player, that actress or actor who can diagnose, understand real time what's happening in that environment, and then shift the conversation. And so just remember today that selling is a Broadway play performed by a psychiatrist, and you're going to be off and running. Derek said he loved that GIF. You're welcome, Derek. Thanks for being here, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you. And with that said, you just been tuned up. Don't forget this one. This one's important. I hope this was valuable for you. I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao for now.